To the second episode of the Awakenings podcast. In this episode, Heba and I will delve even deeper into the mysteries of the MCO freedom teachings. We will explore the science of Kathara healing and its connection to our spiritual anatomy, like our chakras and their connection to the dimensions of our universe. We'll also take a look into the New Age spiritual Kabbalah systems, and we'll question the authenticity of the truths they claim to offer in the name of spiritual enlightenment. So with the rise of many spiritual teachings, we have been offered a lot of different spiritual paths, but we are gonna actually question how effective are these paths when we look especially at the limitations that surround them. So the MCO freedom teachings really stand out when we look at the intricate energy system that they offer, which actually extends beyond the 7 chakra system that is very commonly taught and becomes a 15 chakra system. So this opens up a lot of new possibilities for us when discovering our multidimensional nature, and challenges all beliefs. It challenges a lot of beliefs of what we have already been taught. So the goal of this episode is really to redefine spiritual healing and offer a new healing modality that is really advanced, one of the most advanced healing modalities available to us today, and that stems from the MCO freedom teachings. And it really reinforces the idea that we can all be self-sufficient healers once we choose to become aware of that possibility that is available for all of us equally. So with that being said, I, Lara from Lazurite.healing, would like to welcome Heba, co-founder of Collective Rising. So thank you, Heba, for joining us today and for choosing to share with us your really deep knowledge of the MCO freedom teachings.
Thank you for having me.
Okay. So let's start with what I would think is the biggest surprise for our viewers today, for many of our viewers today, is that we actually have 15 chakras instead of 7. So Heba, with your deep knowledge of the chakra system, we know that chakras aren't just energy centers in the body, but they actually link to larger universal gates and dimensions in the universe. So I know that to understand fully the time matrix of our universe can be really time-consuming or a very complex thing, but we'd like to get at least a simple overview of what really belongs to us and the universe that we're in. So If we have 15 chakras, why does mainstream spirituality just teach about 7 chakras? Okay, and for example, the fourth heart chakra, even in the MCO freedom teachings and in New Age Kabbalistic teachings, it is often linked to the astral body. Okay, but what about chakras beyond this, and even chakras beyond the 7 chakras? Okay, so let's try to uncover a bit of the truth behind our spiritual anatomy, the truth behind our spiritual anatomy, and how our DNA really seems to fit into the universal time matrix, almost like a puzzle piece.
Yeah, that's a big question. I'd love to answer this one. My favorite topic is talking about chakras and the time matrix and the scalar waves, and so if it's okay, I want to delve a little deep into this.
Yeah, definitely.
Thank you. What I want to say is that in order to understand the chakra system, firstly, I want to actually shed light on what chakras mean. I'll actually answer that here in this this response for the question you just made. I would like to talk about the construct first behind the chakras and how chakras are formed, if that's okay, because I think there's a lot of information out there, or I should say misinformation, when it comes to chakras. There's not really a great deal of knowledge when it comes to understanding our energetic anatomy, if you like. So I'd like to explain that, if that's okay. So this might be a little bit of a big response, but it will help people really make sense of what we're talking about, instead of just saying chakras and energy vortices. Like, a lot of people might be asking, well, how does it work? Like, where do these chakras get the energy from? And that's something I'd like to explain here. So, Lara, as you know, the universe is fundamentally constructed from scalar waves. So everything in existence is actually created through waves of particles. These are called scalar waves, so waves of particles. And when they assemble in precise geometrical patterns. Okay, so when Source created the universe, Source didn't just go, okay, done, 1, 2, 3, done. There was a system for the creation, right? Source brought the universe into being through the scalar waves, and that all originated from thought form. So you can say God Creator imagined it, and it was created. Okay, I will help our viewers understand this concept in a little while, just a little bit at a time. I'm just sort of trying to build my response in little bits and pieces, so it can give a good sort of like overall response, if you like. So, like I said, there is an order and there's an intelligence and a consciousness to this creation. It's not just a big bang done. Okay. And also what we know as the soul, a lot of people don't actually know what the soul is. There is Eastern philosophies like, Hinduism, yoga, Zen, Buddhism, there's a lot of Eastern philosophies. Even religious texts also sort of try to dabble a little bit into that realm, trying to they try to explain or expound on the meaning of a soul, but you don't really get a concrete answer. Like when I was little, I remember asking that question, like, what is the soul? And the response I got was, oh, it's that thing that sits within us, and that's it. And I was like, how can I touch it? So it was like, I made it my mission to actually feel it or touch it and, want to connect with it. And it's only when I understood the freedom teachings that actually became more apparent what that means, what it meant. So what we perceive as color is, in fact, it's a spectra of light, and they're radiation waves. They can be measured and they can be quantified. So each chakra is that. Each chakra is a frequency wave made from those scalar waves, and each one resonates with specific frequencies. Each represented by unique colors that correspond to its function, to its position, formation, ratio of spin or spin ratio. And together these frequencies form the 15-dimensional system that we're talking about here. And that comprises the structure of our being. And it's not just the cosmos, the universe, the planetary body, the human, it's everything. It's plants, animals, the clouds, everything is made from that particular pattern, geometrical pattern. So I want to delve into that a little bit more to help viewers to, shed some light on that, to help viewers understand this concept in greater depth. So when we talk about thoughts, like when we have a thought, every thought is actually electrical in nature. It produces a scalar wave by expanding out. Okay, so it expands out and it becomes a light manifestation. Okay, so it manifests into light, and that's the masculine, the masculine force, if you like, or the principle. And then you have the sound, which is not the opposite. That's a misnomer. When people say masculine is opposite to feminine, it's not. They complete each other. That's how it's meant to be. There's no such thing as opponent or opposite when it comes to freedom teachings, because everything completes one another. So every sound or word is magnetic in nature, and that's the feminine principle. And this is the electrical expands, whereas the feminine contracts. And by contracting, it creates an internal vibration. And then when it is combined with light, then it becomes movement. And that's how we see things moving. So if you like, it's a little cosmic trick between light and sound. It's like a dance between light and sound. And that's what we perceive here as our reality. So the two work together, and these are the primal forces of the universe. They're the primal forces, the building blocks. When there's lots of building blocks, then it becomes a morphogenetic field. This morphogenetic field, universes manifest upon it. But they don't just manifest haphazardly. They manifest upon a template. So it's a specific order for that template. And it's an interrelation between light and sound. And that template is the Kathara template. And this template governs the scalar grids. So it's got something called particle phasing, means on and off flashing sequences. And that's how they manifest. That's how we see objects that appear as solid when it's just light and sound coming in and out. So the cosmic manifestation of many of those Kathara templates combined is what becomes the energy matrix. This is our perceived external reality. This is where we're living, in the energy matrix. Within it is the time matrix. And within it is the world that we perceive as maybe static, like frozen, but it's not. We're flashing on and off. So the morphogenetic field, it's amazing, isn't it? It's like...
Yeah, it's really amazing.
It's really amazing. It's science, it's physics, it's geometry, and it
answers a lot of questions.
It does.
It's not just something abstract, it's actually science.
Yes, it's true science, not pseudoscience. It's true science. So when you wrap your head around it, it becomes so clear, and not just rationally, but also intuitively, you feel that, okay, yeah, I can actually feel truth in this, okay? So to explain a little bit more, the morphogenetic field scalar grid structure of dimensions takes the form of then a 15-dimensional matrix based on a 12 Kathara grid tree of life, okay? There's 12, I know, in the Kathara tree of life, and then there's 3 extra, and these are called the primal light and sound fields. So in total, we have 15. So these 15 are grouped in 3 dimensions, and then you end up with 5 sets. So 5 sets of 3 make it 15. Each of those sets, so remember there's 5 sets, each of those sets is called a harmonic universe because it's got special features for that universe. So there's, when we say we're going to the next universe, it's like, what? This is the only universe we have. Physically, yes, that's what it looks like, but spiritually, energetically, we've got 4 more universes to traverse, okay? So there's 5 universes. They're called harmonic universes. And all of it, the 5 harmonic universes, each one 3 dimensions, we have a total of 15. That becomes a time matrix system. At the core, the universe is composed of spheres within spheres. Each sphere represents a dimension, which is a distinct field of scalar waves. So each one of those dimensions has its own set of flashing on and off. So we're living in a rainbow universe. We are rainbows, right? Right? Yeah.
Yes.
So yeah, it's amazing. And these waves actually carry unique blueprints and patterns. And they're all defined by sequences of flashing on and off. So when something turns off, this is the beauty about this, there's always a connection back to the creator, because when it turns off, we go back to creator source. We cycle back into source. People call source God as well. That's okay. We call it the Unisei in Freedom Teachings. Thus, the universe operates as a continuous process of manifestation and demanifestation. So there's a constant and a dynamic interplay between the creation and the return back to God. So Hindu scriptures refer to life as a play. It's actually true. In Sanskrit, there's a lovely word for that. It's called lila. Lila is a play. So we come here to play, and we do. We actually do come and play, because if you can master the energy and play with energy, then your lila, you're enjoy. So people ask, what is joy? I say lila. It's having fun with energy. I'm no master of energy. Like, don't get the wrong idea. I haven't mastered, but I have an idea, like I'm starting to dabble into like how we can use different frequencies, and the manifestation is good. I tend to manifest things, but of course there's more. There's a lot more that we don't know, right?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, and there's another word also in Sanskrit called Maya, and Maya means illusion. So it's an illusion. Things appear solid, but in fact, they're constantly flashing on and off, scalar waves, creating this beautiful time energy matrix we perceive as actually solid, fixed. So how will your life change? You may ask, like, how will your life change once you understand this concept? It will change significantly. Why? Because if you know you've got this much energy to play with, then you know you have the power to change everything in your life, every aspect of your life, using scalar waves. Then you're not predetermined, you're not destined, okay? Because in occult sciences, okay, they have something called the magician. The magician is the highest order for an attained being within the order, because that means the person has mastered the art of playing with energy. Now, how they use it, they probably use it for not good things. That's a different matter. But what I'm saying is a magician is a magi, is someone who mastered the art of playing with energy. In freedom teaching, the magi, Grail shaman, is someone who has that status, who has the ability to first knowledge of the universe, the cosmos, and how the cosmos is constructed, okay, and also the mastery, the ability to use energy, to flash on and off, to go wherever you want in the universe, to do whatever you like, all good, but no bad things, So there's a lot of energy hidden behind every word, behind every action, behind every thought, behind every belief. Everything is a frequency. So don't underestimate the power of word. You tell a plant you love it, watch it thrive, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. Tell a plant that you hate it, watch it dwindle and die.
And even in actions, if you neglect a plant, it really also dies. Even if you water it every now and then, if it's far away from you, I've noticed this with some of my plants.
Yes.
If you just water it every once in a while, even if you're really taking care of it physically, but it just doesn't thrive as well as those that you keep with you, like,
Yes.
more often.
Yeah, and there becomes like a symbiotic relationship. We think of plants as, okay, we can just, kill it or whatever, it doesn't matter. But it's got a life. It's actually a living thing, and it's just as alive as we are. And I remember when I went to India, I've been to India 5 times, and on one of my trips, I left my plants with a lady, very lovely lady, but I think they were sad. I came back and most of them died, and she said, I promise I did water all of them. And I said, I believe you. It's probably just because they were sad because I wasn't there for 2 months, I think it was.
Oh,
Yeah, it was
they
sad.
just missed you.
Yeah, they do. They have that, they get used to a certain frequency, and then they get used to it, and then suddenly you're up and go. That they find it difficult to adjust the frequency. That symbiotic relationship takes a different dynamic. So yeah, it's all energy behind this. So I often talk to my crystals. That's funny because I'm sitting there going, "Oh, you're a lovely crystal," and
it's like a little pet.
it's definitely like a pet, but sometimes we can we can ignore them or whatever because they just sit there, they don't talk, they don't move, and we forget about them. But then it's like, oh, I haven't said hello in a while, you just come back and pat it or whatever, like a cat.
Yeah,
so
like a cat.
it's really cute. Yeah, they're lovely. Like everything everything has life, so with that in mind, though, it's all scalar waves just running, it's interplay of scalar waves, right? With that in mind, I do caution here, because I'm not sure where I can say this, but I'd like to mention it now just in case I forget to say it. I caution against the use of scalar wave technology. I know some people will be shocked with this. That's just my personal opinion. If you'd love to use it, go ahead and use it. But I personally would caution against the use of scalar wave technology. There's a lot of what is it? The red beam technology. There's people calling some machines, Rife machines, and then there's the med beds and healing machines and things like that. They're all scalar wave technology, but this technology is not organic. The only technology that we need is built-in system inherent within us. It doesn't stem from machines. No machine can actually replicate the direct energy of source. Nothing can replicate that. And while such technologies may provide a short-term benefit, they ultimately detrimental to the human DNA, because they actually lack capacity to truly replicate that purity and, the integrity of that Kathara, the original blueprint. They don't work on a Kathara. They cut corners, or they provide I don't know how they work, but maybe too static, too electrical. I'm not quite sure, but I would just caution against, using them. Anyway, with that being said, it's really important to honor and work with our organic systems, and as they align directly with the energy of source and the perfection of our divine design. So in my personal work, I do mentor and teach inner technologies, and you do, I know that you do as well, Lara. I myself had used scalar wave before, and I can confidently say they don't work. I think it's mind over matter. I think I believed they work, and they worked. It's only when I believed something worked. So it works to heal the body, the mind, the spirit, but these technologies are found within us. So we just have to remember, to honor the body.
So organic use.
Organic, like healing the shadow, honest self-reflection, introspection, things like that.
All right. And when you speak about inorganic scalar waves, can you give us some examples, so we can know what
I don't really want to name
waves?
and shame and stuff like that. But I think anything that you attach to your person and that creates like a buzz, like buzz, buzzes.
Okay.
Yeah, that's
phones,
scalar.
cell phones, maybe.
Sorry.
Cell phones or
Cell
technology.
phones is I think works a little bit differently. Scalar waves interferes with our electromagnetic field.
All right. Okay.
As does cell phones, but I guess we can't live with our cell phones. I think they work a little bit differently, though. These really get into your DNA, and so it's sort of alter. Yeah, I'm not confident using them for me. I just want to caution, but people can ultimately, free will choose if they want to or not. Just thought I'd mention it here. So back to talking about Kathara and the chakra system. I don't want to. I go a little bit off topic, but I promise I bring you back. I work like an akasha. You know how it starts like here and then goes like that and then comes back. I come back at the end.
We love that actually, because you just give us some insights from everywhere, so that's good.
Oh, good. I'm glad to hear. If I go on too long, just say, it's just signal.
Oh, that's okay.
So the universe is actually amazing. It can be viewed as a microcosm inside a macrocosm. So within those within the cosmos, every dimension, every one of those dimensions exists simultaneously. So we don't ascend and evolve, because you hear a lot in the New Age, we're ascending into 5D. It's not an ascension. It's not like you leave this and you go into this. You just expand out, because we're constantly flashing in and out. So we flash out, we get more frequency, and we expand more. So this principle, really, anyway, this principle explains why we encounter certain individuals only when we match certain frequency. So some individuals will vary the frequency, like, when two people are coming together, like say twin flames, or, when the frequency matches or semi-matches, that's when they come together, because frequency there needs to be a coherence with each other. It's like opposites repel, so you don't ever want to meet the person who you're completely opposite to. But when you have something in common, there's a frequency that speaks, that binds you, or that communicates between the two of you. It allows you to come together. So, and
sometimes I've noticed that this thing that is in common, you could be like two really different people on the outside, but just one thing, like something you like a lesson from a past life lesson, be really deeply hidden. You wouldn't know that you actually have it in common until it really happens. So on the surface, you could be like really two opposite people. I've noticed that.
Yeah, that could also be like sort of a twin flame, like 612, coming together. For deep shadow healing work and healing and stuff, they have to bring different aspects that integrate the two aspects. But like you find soulmates have the exact same, very common, a lot of common points between them. Soulmates. That's why they never argue, or, because, sometimes arguing is a way of like disagreeing with each other, is a way of harmonizing the energy between the two people. Yeah, but when the frequency is the same, like my brain waves are working the same as my partner's brain waves, then there's nothing to argue about. Because if I want something, it'll be like, okay, I want something, he'll be okay, and then vice versa. But when you have like twin flames, it works a little bit different, because of, very similar on higher identity levels, like in the spiritual realm and higher, but in the physical here, or what we perceive as physical, they're not the same. They need to integrate the energies to make it one. So there's a lot of shadow work and healing together to pass that, transmute. Then they're already one in the higher realms. So they don't have to keep doing it to the, Anyway, we can make an episode on that if you like. I'd love to talk about that and explain it.
Yeah, that would be really
good. Yeah. But back to your question before we go off, regarding the the manifestation of the body, spirit, and light body, we're constructed on a Kathara template basis. And this template comprises 12 grids formed from sound and light. So sound, remember, is vibrations and light is electricity, so electrical. And they create something called an electrotonal, which is basically a word of that represents unity between light and sound. So sound is the first emanation, and that holds profound significance in spiritual traditions because you find many religions actually echo this concept. They describe the divine sound like the initial act of creation. For instance, in Hinduism and yoga, there is, they call the first sound of the creator Om. You know, that's why they do the Om, you know. That in freedom teachings differs, but you can see how that sort of, this sound is first, or first was the word in Christianity. So that sort of echoes, there is some truth to that. So it's essential to understand sound is what's referred to here actually represents the vibration and tones of the primal particles of creation. The primal particles, the first, the primal. And when the first seed of consciousness vibrated, it produced a sound, and that was first. Then from that emanates, you know, then the light emanates, then the combination is manifested here as us, as the cosmos. So everything in the universe and beyond manifests within this structure called the time matrix, which follows precise mathematical patterns. It forms a manifest universe, like I said, made of 12 Kathara grids, known as the Kathara tree of life. And I think you asked about Kabbalah. This is not the same. It's actually, Kabbalah is the distorted version of the Kathara tree of life. It's very, very different. There's a structural distinction between the two. And for example, one of those there's many, but one is that the Kabbalah tree of life is based on 10 grids, while the Kathara is based on 12, and it connects to the Eka, you know, it's a Veka, Eka, and beyond. So it takes us directly to source. It's the original template that we have. And each of those 12 Kathara grids actually represents a realm or reality field, further subdivided into 12 subharmonic bands. And each harmonic becomes a frequency band, so it's got a unique color. I'm getting to the chakras now, so just breaking it down. And what's fascinating about these colors is they have a connection to the psycho-emotional and spiritual states. For example, we all hear of like the red chakra, right? It's so what's the red chakra? It's the
root chakra.
The root chakra, yes, the base. It's the slowest pulsing frequency, slowest pulsing. And the more we go up, the higher the frequency, the more pulsation. So these 12 harmonics, actually, if you look at it from a higher vantage point, it resembles a rainbow, and you know, and their dynamic interplay between the colors. They actually form things that we can touch, feel, and sense, you know, because colors ultimately transform into a physical creation. And when we breathe in sound and color frequencies, it actually becomes healing, because we're fundamentally composed of sound and light frequencies. So the universe itself is built on these geometrical patterns, which ties into the field of sacred geometry. And by absorbing these frequencies through the pineal gland, optical pineal induction, which is the inner technology offered through freedom teachings, we can reprogram our DNA to return to its original blueprint before distortions occurred. So that's why we're doing Kathara healing, to heal our DNA. Yeah. So what I want to, just to sort of coming to the end of that, so the 12 primary Kathara centers, I want to mention that they're vortices, but they're they're actually spheres within spheres. So it's important for people to understand that there's spheres within spheres. Maybe we can put up, before we post this interview, maybe we should put up a visual.
A diagram.
Yeah.
That would be nice.
That 15, that would be good, because it shows how it's spheres within spheres.
Yeah.
And then people will help understand, because there's this debate that Earth is flat, and if Earth is flat, then we should be flat.
Yeah.
But so the truth
Imagine
is,
that.
we should be flat 3D, because viewing it from that viewpoint, that's why they're seeing Earth as flat. But if you actually go 4D, you see the Earth round, and then go higher and you see the Earth spheres within spheres, because it's spheres within spheres. It's like that.
Wow.
All embedded. And everything's moving, everything's talking to one another. It's energy in motion constantly.
Wow.
Yeah, light continuously flashing on and off. These flashes occur like a Christmas tree at varying speeds. You know how you have some Christmas trees that make you go insane and crazy because they flash so fast?
And others are slower, and others are like a bit alternating.
Exactly. And then you have patterns appearing and disappearing, and that's sort of how we flash on too. But guess what?
Must look really beautiful from up above.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I'd love to have a look, but got to do a little bit more work.
We have to be here right now.
Well, this is where we are. So,
Yeah.
but guess what? We're always disappearing in and out, and we're doing it so fast that the eyes, the physical eyes, and the brains actually, because the brains are connected to the eyes, we can't possibly perceive the world. The eyes just can't gauge that. So we think it's all fixed. As far as the chakras are concerned, because I know you asked that, you asked me so multifaceted, multi-level question. So I have to try and remember the other part is the chakras. So as far as the 12 structures concerned, they translate to 12 chakras, plus the 3 which are light fields, 3 levels of light, 3 different light radiations, and so it all becomes 15. So from 1 to 9, we call it Antakarana, and this is the universal Kundalini energy. So from chakra 1 to 9, or dimensions 1 to 9, it's the Antakarana, the universal Kundalini. D10, D11, D12 is what we call the Maharata, liquid light field. So when people do the Maharata, the Maharic seal, this is what we're doing here, the D10, 11, 12, or D11, 12. And then when we're doing the, then we have the D13, D14, D15, and this becomes the Kira shape primal light fields. It's the lovely colors that are pale, that are like pastel pale, pink, turquoise, and also yellow, golden. And then we go into the sound field, so it becomes a kundalini. How does this relate to the chakra? They exist both within and without, forming part of the morphogenetic field, because we're constructed from these 12 frequencies with the primal light and everything. We're intrinsically connected to Earth. So as Earth connects to us, we're connected to Earth, we're connected to the sun, the sky, the mountains, the universe, the cosmos. Everything forms an integral part of us as we do it. And so the chakras are energy vortices. They come from these scalar waves, from these dimensions. In yoga, they're referred to as wheels. So a chakra is a wheel because it spins. And it spins to regulate how much light we take in. Because if you take in too much light, what happens? Not good. So, we implode. You can only take so much and process it, because light is frequency. So each chakra regulates quality and quantity of light that flows through them from the primal light and sound field. And this shapes our reality. And chakras are not just abstract concepts like, oh, they just exist in, abstract philosophy books. They're actually built on scalar waves, and they have actually a tangible structure. So you asked about New Age. Well, we're taught that there's 7 primary chakras, but the truth extends beyond that. Because how is there 7 when the universal Kundalini goes from 1 to 9? So it's leaving 2 out when it comes to universal Kundalini. And what about the other 8 to make it a 15 chakra system? Because if you leave the other 8, so 7 and then 8 are left out, you're leaving out the cosmic, the planetary, the galactic. So this is a lot that
really cuts you off from a part of you that you just think doesn't exist.
Yes, you just think, that's it, my crown, I'm done. How? Where do you get energy from the crown? From the environment? The environment, what if it's distorted environment?
And it can't just be from your crown to source and then your crown. There must be higher stuff.
Yeah, they think that they just like imagine it coming from the top. But what if you have like negative beings who are trying to hijack your soul, and they're positioned up there, and you're opening the crown and letting them in? What happens then? People are not actually asking the questions because they're offered the same paradigm is all over the internet, in all New Age books, even in yoga teachings. When I teach a yoga course, I say, look, we taught 7, but there's actually 15, and I'm going to teach the whole 15, because nowhere in the yogic tradition that you're actually introduced to more than the 7 chakras. They say 7, that's it. They haven't heard of a galactic chakra, metagalactic chakra, universal chakra, planetary chakra. They have not heard of that. Or they have, and they don't want to let us know. But it's really sad either way. The distortion that happened in these teachings dates back to Atlantis and the last stellar activation cycle, which is 25,500 something BC. Because humanity was actually fed Thothian knowledge, attributed to Thoth. It was partially accurate. It was heavily distorted because Thoth once intended to deliver this wisdom, but he became a fallen angel or a fallen entity who actually turned against the Emerald Order. So he defected. And so the knowledge that he disseminated, he brought forward the reversed Kundalini system and the limited chakra framework, excluding that vital connection to sound and light fields. So just to wrap it up, the Kathara system is a biospiritual healing modality that emphasizes wholeness and not partial healing, whole healing. So wholeness, ensuring that nothing's omitted or distorted. It offers tools for ascension through embodiment of full teachings. We had to be rescued because of the fall, and that could be another episode if you like. One day we can explain that. But it was called the Amenti mission to rescue humans who, we fell, and basically we needed our DNA to be bioregenerated. So there was a mission called the Amenti mission, and this mission faced disruptions. And since then, it changed to become it was the reclamation mission. And what this has to do with is the retrieval of our codes, our original codes that we once were. Remember in the first session episode, I said the original humans had 12 DNA strands, double helix. And then you have the indigos, 24, 36, 48. And we're told that we're only 3 or 4 DNA max. So we're here to restore our original DNA template. So this information's been hidden for so many years. It was restored in 1999 by the 3 speakers of the Melchizedek cloister. And these individuals, Ashayana Dean, Michael Dean, and Speaker 3, these individuals represent the 3 ekatic levels of the primal light fields. Each one contributed crucial, valuable, missing information from the holographic discs, the CDT plates, also known as the Cloister Dora Terra plates, which are actually just like they contain the sacred encryptions. Like, you have the halls of records. These are the plates that actually have the encryptions in them about everything to do with our codes and our healing and everything that's ever happened in the universe. And much of it was deliberately concealed. So yeah, that's it. But like, I can explain how chakras are in the body, but I don't know if you want to keep going or we leave it for another day. Because I wanted
if
to
you
mention,
want, we can.
Yeah.
You wanted to mention if each chakra in each body.
I just wanted to mention how the chakras, like, they look like 2 coins, and they have multicolored energy.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Would you like me? Yeah, because then that gives a clear understanding.
If you want, yeah, it gives a clear idea.
Yeah.
And what about mentioning the second chakra is emotional body and all that? Should we go into
so that we will have to go for another hour.
Another.
But I can mention basically, if you like, just the first maybe 7. It will just stick to 7, but there's 15.
All right.
Like, there's 12, and then primal lights, flight, freak. Yeah, but I'll mention the first 7. I think most people are aware of those anyway. But the reason I want to mention chakras is because people think they're just like wheels, energy. I had one here that looked, I don't know where it is now. I had something I play with, but that's not it. This is just a
that's nice.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know where. It just looked like an energy wheel and a vortex, but it's actually, the chakras actually look like cones, 2 cones, like that, coming together like that. And maybe if you show the diagram.
Yeah, we can show it.
Yeah, they have multicolored energies. They actually linked through the central body current. And what links them together is seed star crystal seals. So crystals link the chakras together.
All right.
That's why if we want to ascend from one realm to the next, we have to break through these seals. Yeah. So remove the seals, but like in a nice way, not like, we're ripping it or anything like that. We're opening the seals, gently opening the seals. This is all the inner technology offered in the freedom teaching. We are able to do that. So among the 15 chakras we possess, many have been intentionally disconnected, cutting us from the organic functioning, especially affecting chakra 11 and 12, because chakra 11 and 12 connects us to our Maharata Christos level of identity. So now something happened that was pretty drastic, was the invention or the creation of the caduceus. So that's why I wanted to go on a little bit more, because there's a lot of teachings out there, especially Tothian teachings, pushing the caduceus, saying it's a good thing with the serpent wrapping around the central body current. But what it's doing, it's actually cutting off the natural flow of energy. So we have something called axiom lines, and these axiom lines are meant to feed the body energy, but what's happening is the caduceus is wrapping around them. And thanks to the New Age movement, because that's disadvantaged humanity, because through the New Age movement, they populated the notion of a caduceus. And we can see it in health as well, and pharmaceuticals. We have caduceus with 2 heads of the snake and sometimes 1, So what's being presented is partial truth and very distorted truth. And what they're saying is by activating 7 dimensions, 7 chakras, 7 vortices, we attain enlightenment. That's what I was taught that. So I know it's being taught. And what ends up happening is we disconnect from eternal life and source. So it's a profound betrayal. And now we are acting as the guardians of the planet. And we're acting as conduits to restore this information and share it with people, the true information. So with regards to the chakras that are being taught, as you know, we have the base chakra, the red ray, then the orange ray, which is the second chakra. It sits in the sacral. So that's a sacral. This is responsible for like our relationships, emotions, things like that. The first chakra is the security, fight and flight. The third chakra is our sense of identity. It's the yellow chakra, the golden yellow. And it's our sense of identity, confidence, self-esteem, that sort of thing. And then we have the green ray, which is the heart chakra. That's love, forgiveness, love, connection with others, with self. And then you move into the blue chakra, which is the expression of truth and expression of one's truth, creativity, that sort of thing. I'm just sort of doing it really quick here. And then we move into the pineal gland, the third eye, which is indigo. And that's our sixth sense, you know, our psychic abilities, our gifts, things, seeing into the spiritual realms and that sort of thing. And of course, the violet, which is perceived as the last one to attain unity and enlightenment. And this is the unity consciousness.
Okay.
But it's not, it's just the doorway into the next 8, into the cosmic, galactic and spirit body.
Wow, that's really interesting.
Yeah. So I'll just mention a brief message, if I can, here, that if people would like to explore this knowledge, they can, you know, I'm not sure if you'd like to take requests but they can contact me for a one-on-one session. And part of my work is to actually look into the Kathara template, and I can sort of see what is going on and what energies need balancing.
Wow, that's nice.
Yeah, it just all depends though, because sometimes people have that resistance and it's not very,
Okay.
you know.
So if they're having a block, you can't really.
Yeah,
you can't really
I can help with that. And Arabic speaking as well, I can help with that, because I speak Arabic, not as good as you, but I'm semi-fluent, you know, so I can help too, and you know, more professional, you know, than I am. But yeah, I just wanted to mention that. So does that
your Arabic is really good. It's like,
oh, thank you.
Yeah, it's like you really sound like a native speaker, so you don't have to worry.
Really? Thank you. Well, there's no one to practice with except my mum, and you know, we don't. She lives very far away, so well, I live far away from her. That's what she said.
Okay, so Hiba, I would like to revisit the word Kathara healing again with you. So if someone wants to take on the MCEO Freedom Teaching Healing Path, where does one begin? So in the New Age system, healing paths offered, like in Reiki, it works with symbol code transmissions, or pranic healing uses prana life force energy to transmit healing into the body. But what does the Kathara healing use or work on in the body? Does it target specific energy centers? Now, for one thing, we know that Kathara healing requires a lot of visualization. So we know it requires a lot of visualization. So can you tell us how it really works in activating the DNA or healing the body? And I also want to mention something, that Kathara healing was originally used not just to heal the body, but to prepare it for Stargate passage and ascension. So can you please share with us about that? Like, how does Kathara healing work? How does one start? And what does it really do in the body?
Okay, well, so where does one start? Okay, let's start here. People can start by simply watching these podcasts, because each time we learn something new, we're integrating knowledge, and knowledge is frequency, right? So this is our engagement with the original texts, is to listen to other people talk about it, explain, expound, that sort of thing. So the first step is learning the sacred gnosis, the teachings, and moving into higher frequency. Because when we move into higher frequency, only then we are prepared to, willing and capable of actually understanding this material. It takes a lot to sort of wrap your head around it. We still struggle, don't we? Like, it's like, I really want to grasp this, but you can't force knowledge. You know, if you have the capacity, which we all have a capacity ultimately, you know, but slowly, it's got to be done slowly. And so people can begin.
Sometimes it's like you're sitting and just, maybe you're looking out the window and you just get an idea and you understand it out of nowhere, even though maybe the day before you couldn't really understand what you were reading or something. Just comes on its own.
Yes, and you made a good point, Lara, is that you could just be sitting and it comes. And sometimes what happens is if you watch it the second time and the third, that's when you get it. So it's like repetition. Repetition is key.
Yeah.
Okay. Also, there's something that I highly feel is important, is like the spark, the first spark. Because if you don't have that spark and it never happens, then you're never going to be drawn toward this stuff. It takes a spark. So like, think of a dormant candle patiently wanting to be lit. And then there's this deniable urge, like you're looking at the candle and you're like, I just want to light it up. I just ignite that flame, you know. And when you do, it has that transformative force. You just instantly feel it flicker and then it sparks. And when that light is actually lit, it can never be extinguished. It just you can't extinguish.
Or like glowing light bulbs, and each one like glows the other one, or the candle glows the other candle.
Yes, like that. It becomes contagious. Then you get so immersed in it, and then people go, what are you doing? What's this? That's interesting. And then you mention one word and then they're hooked. The spark within them becomes, you know. And so this is important for us as members of society, is to actually get out there and share this knowledge, even if we feel rejection, resistance, anything like that, because true light can't be hidden for too long. It's going to come out. There's so many false versions of light masquerading as truth, but when genuine light enters our heart, something happens. It initiates something profound, because we don't actually learn true light. We remember. So there's a difference. We're not learning, we're remembering. So there's a big difference here. And I say it so passionately because every time I remember, sometimes it may take me once, and then I can speak for hours on one thing. And it's like, how do I know this? The answer's simple. The answer is you have it in your DNA. You know, and of course we have a template. Each of us is unique, individual. But some of us have come here for this. And that's something I can do, help people know what their templating is. So to see where, you know, the direction of their template, what they're here to do, what sort of work. So that's just a side note.
That's beautiful. And can you see also like the blocks or stuff?
I can see that, and I can let people know. Just we use Vedic astrology. In Freedom Teachings, we don't actually use anything except Kathara healing. But on the side, one of the things that I do is I use it for just, sometimes people get stuck in this life and they don't know why. They want to learn, but they don't know why. They don't know why they can't integrate frequencies, or they can't move beyond the stuckness at work or a relationship or something. So I help people just to move past that stuckness, so they're able to get on board with this work. So we just use it as like a way to mitigate the obstacles and things like that.
All right.
So yeah, we find that people actually can be really dismissive of this knowledge. And sometimes I feel it stems from fear. So you ask me the questions like, where do people start? Half of the people that I know love to start and love to learn, but then there's I perceive it as a fear. There's a fear, there's some sort of conditioning. For example, someone deeply immersed in strict religious teachings, okay, from an early age, like, from when they were children, they find this information overwhelming or frightening, or they can find this information frightening. And they're more likely to reject it instinctively without even exploring the full spectrum of the truth. So what I would say, where do they start, is first look within and break those barriers within first, because we want to reclaim the understanding of where we come from and who we truly are. But if you have preconceived ideas about where you come from, then how are you going to learn? If you think you come just by accident, then how are you going to learn a different, concept? If you so, adamant that that's where we come from, that's it, there's no other way. So people need to have some sort of curiosity too. Like I said, that spark.
So to be more open and to accepting something other than what they already know.
Maybe accept, maybe reject, but it doesn't hurt to explore it, right?
All right.
So what I call it is curiosity. So be curious, just like a little child explores, becomes curious, like you let them off in the woods and then they go and find things that you've never seen before. That's curiosity. And that initial spark has to be there to fuel that curiosity. So curiosity becomes that internal voice telling us there is something greater to be uncovered, something beyond the veils. So, many people actually limit themselves to one belief system or many. And often in my line of work, I meet people who'd say, like, I would like to know more, but I've been raised Catholic and my priest tells me that that there's no such thing. I just can't see past these teachings. And I do not know if I was taught the truth. So, okay, this is probably going to be helpful because I'm just using this as an example. My answer would be is the answer to that is lies in the impact. So does your religion inspire love or hate? Does it encourage sustaining life or taking life? That makes a difference. Does it teach embodiment or does it teach detachment? Does it teach fostering love or fear? Is it teaching you to look outside for guidance or to turn within? Does it teach you salvation through someone external? Or inner resurrection, resurrecting the heart?
That's beautiful. Yeah.
So that's
it's using your own discernment.
Using your own discernment. Just write these questions down and take some time to introspect, sit with yourself and think, okay, my belief system is teaching me to fear someone, to hate someone, or to love.
Okay.
To love all. Because the freedom teachings are built on the law of one. And no hierarchy at all. We're all equal. This is why there's no, stages and podiums and things. We have round tables because everyone's perceived as equal.
Yeah.
And love is actually the antidote to fear. So if people feel fear, then love yourself so that you can have love to pursue something meaningful like these teachings, because they will take you back to your original condition, if you like, or I don't like condition, maybe, original template. You'll know who you are, where you come from, because it takes a single spark of love, of self-love, to ignite that curiosity. That's where curiosity comes from. It's like, I love myself and I want to explore more of me. And that ignites, that's curiosity. It comes from love. It comes from love for the self. And once that truth becomes revealed and we break through the illusions, something crumbles, and it's the world, the illusion of what we're seeing crumbles in front of our eyes. And it's good and not good, because when it happens at first, it's like everything just feels void, like what do we have? But then something beautiful happens, because you end up with a beautiful blank page, and you start painting a picture that you love.
It's like everything good happens from the void, like maybe a fetus grows in the void, or an empty garden flourishes in an empty space, and everything comes from the void. Everything good comes from the void. So you can't build knowledge of the freedom teachings on like limited religious views. You need to let go of some things.
You need to let some of the things go. Exactly.
Yeah.
And this isn't about leaving religion. If you're Christian, Muslim, Jewish, Druze, Hindu, Buddhist, Baha'i faith, or whatever you are, that's all respected and all valuable, and, you know. But remember how I said there's spheres within spheres? So if you're sitting with the belief system, you're sitting in the first sphere. You know, you've got like 14 others to expand into. Or, 10 others or whatever. I don't really know the exact number, but you've actually got infinite spheres to explore. And we're making ourselves, it's our own doing that we're stuck, because we're refusing to look beyond the given narrative. So you're given that narrative to follow. And in fact, many religions were actually built on the Mahabharata texts. They come from the Mahabharata texts. Yeah. And and then distortions happen because of certain falls and fallen entities and what they did, they're doing. And so what happened is it altered
the origin of all things we call religion.
Yeah, and we all knew the same stuff. We all learned from the same source.
One religion for everybody.
Exactly, but then like language, it got divided, and then now we have countries. And to go from one country to another, we need a passport, and someone has to find us worthy enough to travel, to give us that permission. You know, you need permission to build a little cubby house on your land. It's not their land. It's not their, nothing belongs to anyone. It's all for everyone. But it's the same thing with these texts. They took the text, they divided them, and then they claimed ownership. This is my religion. My religion's better than your religion.
Yeah.
My concept is true. Your concept is not true. This is all linear thinking. Linear means one point, like, linear in time. And it's very limiting. So I'm inviting people to think bigger, to feel deeply, think bigger. And you'll be surprised, because doing that, you can explore the vastness of this entire existence. So,
so if you're sitting in like if you're sitting in like a little cage and you think it's the whole world, so why not see what's outside? So sometimes there's a fear factor that plays in, where you don't know what's outside, so you're just gonna stay here.
Yeah, because you get used to the cage and you think that's it.
Yeah.
Anyway, moving on. So you asked about Reiki. I remember you said Reiki, and you said prana healing, was it?
Reiki, pranic healing. Like how does I asked how does the Kathara healing work on the body through visualization? Like Reiki uses codes, pranic healing uses life force energy. What does the Kathara healing use?
Kathara healing, I've already explained. We use the system of the tree of life, the 12 grids, the 12 Kathara points, and we actually heal those Kathara points in the body. Okay, we use we use the Kathara system is built on symbol codes and frequencies, so sons and sound and light. So you're visualizing and you're listening to something, and then you're getting access to those frequencies and you're integrating them slowly. So it's very beautiful. Actually, it's enjoyable. Now, my issue is with the other healing systems, and I'm not sitting here and going, okay, they're all bad, and only our one, not ours, but what we're talking about today, the focus of today's topic is Kathara healing. This, in my opinion, and according to the freedom teachings, is the most encompassing. It's encompassing to all the other frequencies. Why? Because we go up to 12 levels. Reiki is limited, for example. Reiki operates on a 3rd and 4th level frequency band. So, and this calls for careful discernment when engaging with this energetic work. Because what happens is when you go halfway and then you open your fields halfway. So you may leave yourself open to whatever's going to come online. You're not going into a safe zone. You're going halfway, opening yourself up. So Reiki has actually become widespread for a good reason. As you know, it's a popular practice today, isn't it? Very popular. It's all over the world. Like everyone interested in energy wants to learn Reiki. It's because it's simple, it's accessible, it's adaptable, and it fits in
also
perfectly.
like anyone can do it. If you need, anyone can do it. Anyone can go and can do it.
Yeah, it doesn't actually ask you for like too many prerequisites, like you've got to have this and this and this and this to become a Reiki healer. You just walk in and do it over a weekend or whatever.
Yeah.
All you need is a commitment and a genuine fervent desire to actually heal others, and then you walk in and you do it. It's affordable. Teachers all around the world are available to run it, extremely cost effective. It gives good returns. So I've known people who do it for money and they build a wealth from that. You know, it's sad to see that in a way. Like, I'm not against charging for energy work because you've got your time and, you know, that's your time, your effort, and
time and energy and effort and the time you took to learn that thing.
Yeah, exactly. And then it always needs to be an exchange. But you see some shocking, like $200 a session and things like that. It's just too overboard.
Overpriced. Yeah,
I think it's
and the client could get results, and maybe he's got blocks that aren't gonna let the practitioner move into them or something.
Yeah. And look, I'm not saying it's completely incoherent system. It may seem like an ideal system to some. I hold a different perspective on that. You know, I fully acknowledge its widespread benefits for healing the body, healing emotions. Plants and animals benefit from Reiki. Undeniably, the system of healing, Reiki healing, has helped millions of people since its emergence. I think it was in the 1940s. So maybe I'm wrong, but yeah, just memory. But we do have to examine the energetic mechanics underlying Reiki. When you do examine those mechanics behind it, you can clearly see that it operates on a 3rd and 4th dimensional current, while our energetic template reaches way more than that. It's far more comprehensive. It encompasses 12 frequencies of rays, symbolizing the main colors, essential colors that we need to integrate in our body. All chakras connecting us to the universe, the planets, the metagalactic universe and all that. And not to mention the feminine and masculine polarization too. That's all in Kathara, but it's not in Reiki. So these elements have to be there to facilitate a holistic healing and help the person ascend to greater levels and higher levels, more expanded levels of identity, and reach the primal light fields. But Reiki falls short when it comes to accessing higher dimensions because it lacks organic healing codes and frequencies. beyond the third and fourth level.
Yeah, like I need to say, I learned Reiki, and we can't be really against it. Yani, it can be really good. You can feel the energy in your hands. If you do it on a cat, you can see I have one cat. It would come back for more. It would come back so I could put my hands back on it.
Yeah.
But after seeing the freedom teachings, first of all, the Reiki system also focuses on the 7 chakra system, but in the MCO freedom teachings, we see that there are 15 chakras.
Yes.
And in the MCO freedom teachings as well, we see like there are also codes, Vecca codes, and we see like there's a lot of distortions. So the Reiki system, it could have been organic once upon a time. It could have been good, but maybe not now. Maybe now it got a little bit distorted like everything else. So organically or originally, maybe it used to work at some point in time, but it's so ancient at the same time. So maybe there's a way to like there are people who love Reiki and who love practicing it.
Yeah.
So that's why I also have a question for you. So how can we maybe heal the Reiki system or the codes?
A Reiki system maybe doesn't need healing. It just needs to upgrade. It needs to upgrade.
Yeah, upgrade for sure. Yeah,
to integrate
but is there a way?
Well,
to
upgrade
both,
to
like
Kathara
do both
healing.
through.
Yeah. Sorry, you just lagged a little bit here.
Oh, okay.
What did you ask? What's the last point you made?
The last point I asked, like, is there a way to merge Kathara healing and Reiki for the people who wanna do Reiki, but they also wanna look on the other side?
I'm not sure if we can merge because Kathara is very distinct. It's got its own methods, and the as you know, the original people that brought it back, it's part of a very ancient system. Reiki's only been around for 100 years or so, but like Kathara predates that by, thousands and thousands of years. So it's not new, Kathara healing. Kathara healing is, I would say, people who love Reiki, they can continue. But just remember, maybe they can do Maharic seal and then do that. Maybe
they
I'm
can
not quite sure
pass the Maharic seal into the codes.
I'm not quite sure how to integrate. I personally prefer to keep healing modalities separate. I'll be honest about this. So if I'm dealing with Kathara healing, if I'm dealing with like a 2D thing, like if I'm putting energy into a crystal or something, I might use Reiki, but why use Reiki 3rd and 4th dimensional when I've got access to 12-dimensional scalar waves? So why not just put 12-dimensional energy in it? You see what I'm saying? So it's Reiki is not like it's bad or anything. It's just not it's a basic system in comparison because it simply cannot access higher frequencies beyond certain levels. So sometimes that can leave us vulnerable to astral infiltration. So that's the thing. Yeah, because you open your fields, but you only go to 3 and 4, keeping those vortices open. Sometimes that can keep us vulnerable to astral infiltration. And that's an issue often exploited by fallen beings to manipulate our energy templates. So this limitation highlights a key challenge humanity faces, is the disconnection from higher frequencies that allow true healing, ascension, and reconnection with source, like Kathara. You know what I'm saying? So it actually, that's the fundamental thing, is that we can integrate, but then when we're integrating, it's harder to integrate than to actually go, okay, I'm using Reiki, but in this case, I'm going to use Kathara. Maybe Kathara's more, as I said, it's a lot more comprehensive approach to healing. So
this applies not just to Reiki, to any other mainstream healing.
Prana healing, I believe it uses 4th dimensional too.
All right, but like the idea is protection before going to any healer or
Yeah, I think as a minimum, if people don't want to have a strong attachment to Reiki, then it's okay. It's not like you're, just make sure that what you're connecting to is a pure channel. But I don't want to endorse this out publicly and say, yeah, just, I'm all about Kathara healing. So it's
All right.
difficult for me to sit here and, and push
Like,
not push, but like speak about another system that, it's not like I don't have an open mind, but when you have the holistic and then you see another system that's sort of falls short of that.
yeah, okay, we can just
go all the way. That's my message. And
all
it's
right.
not that hard to bring what you know, as in knowledge of Reiki, bring it into Kathara. And it gives you a much more broader perspective and a lot more frequency to play with. So you'll be able to heal greater things. You'll be able to restore a whole template for a person rather than focus on just a little point or just some energy block in one of the chakras. With Kathara healing, you can heal the whole template from 1 to 12. And I think most people would opt for that rather than just like
Yes,
heal.
it's a lot more intense.
Yeah, and it's safe. So as a minimum, people can start doing the Maharic shield just to ensure that there is sealed protection, energy field around them. And then they can use whatever they're comfortable using, because I can't tell people what to use. But yeah, my suggestion is to look into Kathara system.
All right.
Was there anything I didn't answer because I've completely forgot?
No, everything was really good.
Okay, thanks.
Well, I know we could go on forever when it comes to the freedom teachings, but since we're nearing the end, I think it would be good to leave our viewers with a takeaway message. And since our episode was on Kathara healing, and healing is all about attaining inner peace, and since inner peace nowadays is just seen as something like a reward or luxury that is earned rather than seen as an innate or something that really belongs to us. So, what is your advice for our viewers on how to reclaim that birthright of inner peace so they can have like that inner harmony and see peace as a birthright, not something that they can earn after they do this or after they work or something?
Well, simply, people have to start realizing they're here to do much more than they realize. Because we can't have peace if we feel disempowered. Okay? And most people are disempowered. They have a guilt, they have shame, they have living in fear. They have limitations, restrictions. They live with belief systems that restrict them on the path of growth. They live with preconceived ideas about destiny, faith, things like that, parental expectations. Sometimes they live just to please the parents, and that's it. Then there's the societal, the social norms. People feel like they're part of the society, and that comes first before their individual peace and freedom and sovereignty. So it's about belief, but it's also about healing as well, those wounds. So we perceive the world from an empowered state, not disempowered state. As I mentioned in episode 1, we hold far more potential than we allow ourselves to see. And our goal here, our purpose, is to realize that intrinsic connection we all have to source. Source, God. We're all here as direct emanations from central source. We begin as electrotonal energy, as I explained, electricity and vibration, electromagnetic energy, light, sound. And energy doesn't die, so we're not dying. We are not diminishing. We expand, transform, and something like that. We're never destroyed. contrary to the belief that when we die, that's it, we're done. Old age, death, that's the end. The truth is that we continue through cycles of expansion, as you know. So we start as pure energy, we project into 15-dimensional matrix, and we embark on a journey of expansion across various dimensions. Many of us become trapped in these matrices. We become locked in reincarnation cycles. That's why I wanted to explain reincarnation cycles in great detail, because it's to do with time cycles. So we become trapped in time. That's a scary thing to know, isn't it? It's like, no, I'm not trying, but we're trapped in time. Just because we die doesn't mean we're finished. We have to realize that we are continuous. Our purpose here is to break free, break those shackles, and ascend back into source. This process is known as ascension, evolution, if you like. It's often misunderstood or distorted. Many religions, unfortunately, have turned that truth into dogma. So they're trapping people needlessly in cycles of reincarnation, thwarting their ascension and expansion. And so that's unfortunate. The message here is, give yourself a chance to learn these mechanics of ascension. And don't remain stuck in disempowerment, because we have, in the Kathara healing system, for instance, we have levels 1 to 4. We have Kathara 1, Kathara 2, Kathara 3, Kathara 4. Kathara 1 will heal your flame body, your shadow body. Kathara 2 and 3 will heal your crystal body. And it just gets deeper and deeper. So we have an abundance of healing tools available to aid us on this journey. The key is to begin asking the question. Because the moment you set an intention, the universe, Unisay, will respond. Because the knowledge is already within your DNA, right? So it's time to reclaim that truth. We're here as explorers, wanderers, adventurers. We're here as voyagers, okay? But we act like sleepwalkers.
That's true.
Many
of us act like sleepwalkers, yeah?
Yeah, sleepwalkers, like, stunned. Most of us, not people watching this, because people watching this want to wake up, but most people out there are sleepwalking, empty, soulless, lacking. Many see themselves as sinful and don't deserve peace, don't deserve happiness. So the message is an open invitation to explore the inner realms, to harmonize your being with these teachings and reclaim your power. Because nothing disempowers us more than surrendering our power to authority or to a perceived hierarchy or someone higher than us who knows more or has more power than we do. So it goes back to the individual and to institutions in general too. I speak to them as well. Maybe my voice is not so, piercing, but like if they hear the message, it resonates. If you're running an institution, open yourself up to healing. Introduce people to other healing systems. If you feel resonant with these, don't hold people back. Transcend the limitations, elevate your being, transform hate, transform prejudice, transform likes and dislikes into pure understanding. Because one thing woke me up when I was very young, and it was a quote from Rumi. Okay, he said, out beyond ideas of right and wrongdoing, there is a field, I'll meet you there. And these words actually awakened something so profound within me, because when he said there's a field, I'll meet you there, I was compelled to actually discover that field. To me, it was a field, I'm still discovering, but I do feel that it's the field beyond judgment, where there's no limitation, where the cycle, something that's just cycles constantly, where that exhausting cycle of criticism, of limitation, disempowerment dissolves. So you said, Lara, peace is a birthright. So it's true. It's very true. Ask yourself, would love resonate with the idea of a God that creates wars? Would God create a war? Because that's what we're taught in religion. Some religions is that God wanted to kill this or that, or God's not.
Or sacrifice someone.
Yes. True love emanates from source, and God can only be God and consciousness. God is consciousness, and it can only be, the first emanation was love. It's love vibration. It's the force behind our existence. The fabric of everything is love. It's the essence of you and me, and it's what interconnects the whole. So what purpose does disempowerment serve? When we see the world, when we view it from a disempowered viewpoint, we remain stuck, we remain asleep, we remain confined in the illusion of separation. I'm separated from you geographically, politically, religiously, gender wars now. We have gender wars. And then there's like age. You're old, I'm young, you're this, I'm that. The race, everything. There's every kind of separation you can think of. Then where's that? How can we find hope in that? How can we restore something that's broken, that's fragmented to this point? It's got to be an individual responsibility. It's got to be one person healing themselves, another person healing themselves, because a healed person is not going to go out there and create war. A person who's healed their DNA and restored it to the frequency of love is not going to see an impetus, a reason for them to go out and create war because they're healed. So the answer is already within your DNA. Do we have a birthright to be living in peace? Yes, but you have to know thyself first. You have to heal yourself first. And you have to stop being misled by external authority claiming to hold the truth or more power than you, because the power lies within you and it's waiting to be discovered now, right now. So do you want me to go into how to reclaim the birthright for our true essence, depending if we have time or not? I'm not keeping...
if you want to, yes.
I can give you a few pointers if you like.
All right, yeah.
So to reclaim a birthright and align with our true essence, I recommend following certain steps. Okay, first thing first is I always say this, I think I said it in episode 1, is to transmute fear. I always talk about fear. Why? There's something called fear, there's something called danger. So if something's dangerous, of course you're going to fear that because it's dangerous. Don't do it, okay? But fear is different. Fear is fear of like learning, fear of loving, fear of being yourself, fear of peace. You know, these things that is, like you said, Lara, is birthright. Fear and love, they can't coexist. The two can't be together, because if you love, you don't fear. And if you fear, you can't love. And of course, there's different degrees to each. So, you know, depending where you are, if you have too much fear, then you're disempowered severely. When love is present, fear dissolves. So embracing love is the answer, because it opens the pathways to healing and to wholeness and to finding thyself. So that's the first thing. Do you have anything to add to that?
As a question or like something?
Do you have anything to add to fear, like transmuting fear to the point I made about love? Like love, you know, I feel that love is...
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Fear is actually like a cage. So if someone's afraid, they're gonna be afraid to look into the freedom teachings. They're gonna be afraid to know other truths than what they know. They're going
Yeah.
to be afraid to look outside of the things that the child self knew.
Yeah.
So the fear of maybe leaving that child self, or showing it new things outside of what the parents said or what the society did. So it's that fear maybe of leaving what is unfamiliar, leaving the familiar and going into the unfamiliar places.
Yes.
So fear is really
That's a
not
good
very
point.
helpful. Yeah, so even that it can be helpful when someone wants to walk forward, but if they want to stay in that child self where it's being told this or that and that's wrong or that's right, that's where they're just gonna stay in one point.
Yeah, exactly. Well said. Yeah. So self-limiting.
Yeah, it's self-limiting.
Yeah. Like you said, a cage. I like that. So that's exactly what fear does. It puts us in a cage. So we can an adventurer, for example. Think of someone who's an adventurer. If they had fear, they wouldn't go on the adventure because they'd be
Yeah.
scared of obstacles. What if I'm faced with an avalanche if I'm going to climb that mountain? What if the what ifs become too much and prevents the person
You
from
just
living?
get stuck in one place.
Yeah, that's it. So like you said, familiarity, like that's makes a person comfortable. So let's step outside of those familiar paradigms. Does that sound good?
Familiar,
Maybe
or
something
maybe
to
comfort. Maybe
comfort.
it brings some comfort. Yeah.
Exactly. So then that brings me to the next point, which is shadow healing. I can't emphasize this enough. Shadow healing, because shadow healing is a process of acknowledging, but not just acknowledging, integrating dark into the light. Healing requires balance, meaning embracing even your egoic traits that you don't like. So you don't like something about you, it's okay, embrace it and heal it. By actually knowing that it's there, you're helping it heal by seeing it for what it is. So embracing aspects of ourselves, not just the ones that we perceive as good. A lot of people are living in that false light, like love,
Yeah.
light, bliss. But that's false because they're only seeing the good parts. They're not acknowledging that there's parts of themselves that need healing, or the little more darker things. Like they
And
won't
there's no
ever,
shame in having that.
there's no
There's
shame.
nothing shame.
Like, has anyone ever that ever came into this existence not been angry? I would not believe there's one person on the planet who has not experienced anger. But people in the new age, they're like, oh no, we're never angry, you know, we don't feel anger. Do you feel angry? Oh, maybe you need healing, you know. It's like, you know,
Never
and then
angry, but
when they say that, it makes me angry. Because it's like, I don't experience anger, but now I'm angry. So, and then they're just still standing there smiling like they haven't said anything, and you're meant to just take their word and just go with
but
that.
maybe this anger that they think is not, that they don't feel this anger, maybe it shows up in another way. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe
Yeah,
it's
you're right.
anger, but they don't have to scream or shout. Or maybe it shows up in another face.
It's passive aggressive. It becomes
Okay,
passive
yeah.
aggressiveness. Or like, you know, when you talk to them and they just smile, you know, that's like passive aggressive.
Okay. So it's
So
like the shadow is thinking things other than what they're
yeah.
really showing.
Or
Okay,
like
so it
if
becomes
you
suppressed at a point.
becomes suppressed, exactly, then it becomes subconscious. Maybe they have wild
Okay.
dreams of them being angry in the dream, or maybe secretly
Okay.
they're angry but not angry with
All
people.
right.
Maybe they're angry with themselves and they turn on themselves. So I've
Mhm.
helped heal a lot of people in that field, in terms of emotions, processing emotions, feelings, things like that. And I'm by no means a master of that. Don't get the wrong idea. I still experience all of it from A to Z, and I'm a healer
And
when it
that's
comes,
really important because
and
usually
I
some
like it.
healers, yeah,
Yeah.
Some healers, you just think they become masters, and then you get surprised that they're actually we're all learning together. No matter what we're doing,
Exactly.
we're all learning together.
As long as you're dealing with people, there's always going to be something that's going to trigger you.
Yes.
You know, unless you go live on your own in the Himalayas. I actually did it. I experienced life on my own in meditation and bliss for 30 days straight, or 28 or whatever. However, I can't remember now. It's a while back.
Was it good?
Yes, but it felt missing something. It felt like
Okay.
I was lying to myself. I felt like there was a part of me that I was neglecting and just trying to subjugate or suffocate. And only when I came back to society that I realized, oh, it's stirring up emotions coming back. First thing is I have resistance, not now, but back then, I had resistance to being in the social framework. So then I started to actually feel a little bit of like I didn't want to deal with people, you know.
Okay.
And that's when I break it down and go back to the source of that dislike, or you can call it an aversion, because it was real strong. I realized that it was coming from me not resisting to know myself through people. So it was because people are mirrors. People show you what you need to resolve within you. And that's a lovely thing. Okay.
So if something triggers you, it's just inside of you. Otherwise, it would have just been a normal thing.
Well, yeah. And sometimes it's other people. Like if you meet someone who's a criminal and you have a little bit of dislike towards them, you can recognize here that, okay, they're doing bad things and I don't like that action. Okay, that's different. But when you meet someone and then they say one little thing and then you go up in arms about it and start screaming and shouting and everything, there's something that they've triggered in you. And yes, it's an opportunity to heal it. So that's where shadow healing lies in that. Before you get to the point of screaming at people, losing it and projecting, you actually heal so you don't have to cut out those people from your life, whether it's a relationship, a partner, parents, siblings, cousins, whatever, friends. So it's really, really important. Shadow healing is strongly emphasized here. People can also, another point is learn the Kathara healing system, obviously, because it's not just a system for ascension, it also contributes to the restoration of Earth's grids. People forget, you're not just healing you, you're healing Earth's grids because you're connected to Earth. Planetary, galactic, cosmic, remember. So connecting to...
So there's a service.
There's a service in that. And most people want to heal themselves and they don't want to think about anything other than the self. But I'm sorry to break it to you, but you have no choice because whatever you integrate into yourself in terms of frequency, it does the same. It echoes into the greater cosmos. So you're a microcosm in the grand macrocosm. It's going to send ripple effects no matter where you are because we're connected. We're not disconnected. So that's why this is stressing the importance of living in symbiosis with nature. Okay? Because anti-life principles, those that want to harm, they're disconnected from spirit. Those that don't want to harm are connected to spirit because they see value in love and connection. So living harmoniously with nature actually revitalizes our bond to creation, to eternal creation, and restores balance in our lives. And another point is seek inner joy, because happiness, we discussed this last time, depends on external circumstances, whereas joy is being sovereign in your being here and now and realizing this at every minute, every moment. You're not actively thinking about it, but when something happens in your life, that's when we get so involved into the problem that we forget that we actually can still be joyful, regardless of what was happening. Because we get so immersed in the problem, we forget that we are much more than the problem or the thought. And I think the last thing I want to say, the point that I want to make, and I have to make this point because I feel it's very important, is we're seeing a lot of hate in this modern, world that we're living now. There's lots of wars, hate, and things like that. I'm seeing a lot of hate and bigotry and division through social media. There's just a lot of no tolerance, basically. So people need to remember that war and hate, they're human constructs. They're born from disconnection and polarity consciousness. Polarity, pulling away from the center point, out that way, okay? So then they justify it by saying the Creator designed it this way. We are the chosen ones. That puts certain people into the special category and others are nothingness. And that's not good to see things that way. Because this ideology stemmed from separation from source, not from being God's special. God doesn't have a special. We're all special. And spirit has no enemies. So why do people create enemies? That's the problem, is people are forgetting that the benevolent God does not create enemies. So why people have enemies? In the Arab world especially, there's divisions. There's a lot of divisions, not just the Arab world, everywhere. In Europe, in America, in Africa, in Australia, in Asia, there's always divisions. But the Arabic world, the Arab world, there's a lot of sectarianism, prejudice. There's a lot of animosity. It stems from a forgotten past, a forgotten common purpose, a forgotten truth. The seed of creation was the same. We all come from the same source. We were divided into races, religions, masculine, feminine. And these are only distinctions. Even these depolarize and unite with the unity at one point. So why do we fight? Why perpetuate internal battles? Why perpetuate external battles? Because they stem from the inside. They stem from internal battles. So when the person's troubled inside, they want to go and harm others.
Yes.
That's why we have to heal. So the message, my humble message, is transcend fear, transcend hate, transcend wars, and let's co-create together. By co-creating, my vision is to build a community uplift that has members, everyone uplifts and serves one another. And when we give in return, there's something that happens, is we see the self as just as valuable as ourself. That's important, very important when we give without expectation. So these communities are useful. So if you feel inclined, start building community. You don't need to invest money, or you just need to have a room, a space, invite people to come to this safe space and create it. Dancing, singing, rejoicing, even though there's wars happening, even though the neighbors are fighting every day, it doesn't matter. Your environment can be peaceful, because this is how we make a difference. This is how we return to God, to the nature of spirit, which is joy. But this has to be done step by step, and willingness to learn, willingness to co-create, and not just to go project. So that's my message. So I hope that sort of covers it, and I hope it resonates and inspires people on the path to want to find answers within this framework of healing.
It was indeed a very insightful message, a very helpful one, and it makes us open some closed doors inside of us, and some people might have closed in them. So
Yes.
unfortunately, this session is nearing to an end. So Heba, I want to thank you for being here and for choosing to really share, to give. You were talking about giving. So for choosing to give some of your time and knowledge to us so that like to illuminate some minds. And yeah, it was very, very insightful. So I'd like to thank you for joining me here.
Thank you very much, Lara. It's always a pleasure to be here with you, talking
Thank
about
you.
these big topics. And you always have a way to make me talk. I don't know how you do it.
That's good.
Your reach inside me makes me just want to go, yeah, and just scream it out.
Oh, that's
But
sweet.
yeah, thank you so much again, and I'll look forward to the next episode. And
Yes,
we'll stay
hopefully.
in touch. Thanks very much for your
course.
work and contribution as well through your channel. And is it Lazurite.healing on YouTube, right? And
Yeah.
you're mainly dedicated to like Arabic speaking people?
That's true. We're dedicated to translating techniques into Arabic and maybe later on some knowledge. Like there's English and Arabic, but mainly like it's like something for Arabic speaking people that's not really found on other platforms. It's very like little.
Yeah, I love your channel. I love your voice when you do the meditations, and it's lovely. It's got a beautiful feel. Like when I go into your space, I just love the feel. You can feel it. You can feel the love, the labor of love. So thank you for your contribution.
Thank you so much.
And thanks for having me. See you next time.
See you.
Omni love.